the one and only Wintley Phipps, joining us to discuss the highly anticipated U.S. Dream Academy celebration. I'm not going to tell you anymore because I want to hear his voice, but two, and I want to welcome him back. And three, I want him to give us all the exciting news about what's coming up again on October the 10th. Wintley Phipps, welcome to Let's Talk.
Oh, thank you. It's great to be with you. And to me, you're Washington royalty, okay?
Oh God, thank you. Thank you so very much. Thank you. So I'm excited about, the Dream Academy and all the work that you've been doing. Tell us a little bit about the US Dream Academy for those who don't know.
Sure. It's been over 30 years now. I was on an Amtrak train from Baltimore to Philadelphia. And on Amtrak, when you don't want someone sitting next to you, you learn how to camp out. You put your papers and your food all around you, and you send a message, please find someplace else to sit. Well, this man had camped out, but when I looked into his eyes, he looked really low and discouraged. There were other seats available, but I walked up to him. I said, excuse me, is anybody sitting next to you? And he smiled. He said, no. And he pulled up his papers and his briefcase. That man's name was Chuck Colson. Now, if that name doesn't ring a bell, he went to prison for the Watergate scandal. He was one of Richard Nixon's henchmen.
Wow,
and while in prison, he made a decision that when he came out of prison, he was going to spend the rest of his life helping prisoners and their families. And that's what he did till he died. Well, we became good friends from that train ride, and he began to take me with him to the prisons of America all around the country. And it was an education for me. One prison I went to in Ridgeland, South Carolina, where they actually filmed the movie Dead Man Walking. As I was greeting the young men, just for a moment, it felt like I was on a Black college campus. It felt like an HBCU, except it was prison. One Easter Sunday morning, we went down to a prison in Florida, Marion, Florida. I sang at the women's prison, and when I finished singing Amazing Grace, a young lady came up to me pregnant, about to have a baby in prison. And she had tears in her eyes. She said, excuse me, sir. She said, your wife named Linda? I said, yes. She said, that's my aunt. We didn't realize that my wife's brother's daughter was in prison and about to give birth in prison. And then we began to look at the family dynamics. And all 7 of my wife's brothers and sisters have been incarcerated or been in prison at some point in their lives. Her older sister had 6 children. 5 of them have been in prison. Well, while I was on this board of Mr. Colson's board of directors of Prison Fellowship Ministries, the largest prison ministry in the world, a very alarming statistic surfaced that about 60, 70% of the kids in America, depending on the city, who end up going to prison, the kids who end up going to prison, come from the children of those who are in prison now. And so it was birthed in my heart and my spirit. We got to do something to break this cycle of intergenerational incarceration. And so we started 26 years ago, this unusual outreach, charity, ministry to children whose parents are in prison and children who are falling behind in school, because we studied the problem. And here's what we found, that by the age of 30, this is crazy, but by the age of 30, 60% of all Black boys in the United States of America who do not graduate from high school, by the age of 30, they will have spent time in prison. 60% of them. Wow. And so we realized that school failure is a key indicator. And so we built one of the first organizations of its kind 26 years ago. Nobody was really talking about doing it this way. And that is, we built an organization that provides tutoring and mentoring, focused on academic skill building, what we call dream building, opening up the visions and opportunities for young people to see more than just what they live with around them, and and this is very critical, character building. Because, when the family collapses, you need to increase the density of caring, loving adults in the life orbit of kids that can help strengthen their character. Because at the end of the day, if you didn't hear anything I said, listen to this. At the end of the day, character is everything. You hire for skills, but you fire for character. And so we have our gala coming up next week, the 10th. And I'm sad to have to say that if you go online, it might say sold out.
That's sad, but that's good news.
Yeah, Oprah Winfrey is our special guest. She'll be there in person, and our kids. You're going to see a celebration of the work that we do. But you can still give. You can still support us, and we're one of the few organizations. I'm going to share this with you that will be very significant. Did you know that there's about $70 billion that are given by foundations to charitable organizations each year in the United
Oh,
States
yeah.
of America?
Right.
But only 3% go to organizations that are run by people of color.
So,
Three,
the
3%.
yeah, the frustrating thing about all that you're saying, one is that the cycle of incarceration continues. 30
Yeah.
years ago, it's as bad then, was as bad then as it is now. And
Yeah.
then the inequities in nonprofit giving is
Right.
the same. It hasn't changed.
Hasn't changed.
So regardless of that, can you, tell us, and I'm really curious about, the impact that the Dream Academy has had, even if it's on one family or one kid. Give us an example of something that the Academy has really, where it made a difference.
Sure. Well, we've had over 12,000 kids come through our program. And I will tell you, one of the ones that sticks in my heart was a mother brought two of her children to the Dream Academy, twins. Both had failed the first grade.
Mm.
And we took them under our wings. And again, we focused on academic support. We focused on dream building, on character building. And these two young men just blossomed. They thrived. And there's so many, many, many stories. As a matter of fact, last year, one of the young men that we honored, an alumnus of our organization, became a fashion designer,
Oh,
and he actually dressed me for the occasion, so for our gala. So I was looking really good.
I know. I'd love to see that photo. Sure was great.
But,
Uh,
so
yeah.
that,
Does the program operate in schools? How do families access the support of the Dream Academy?
yeah, we're trying to we operate primarily in schools. Schools give us access and space. Sadly, once you go into an inner city school, those kids that we're talking about reaching, there's just way too many of them.
Mm-hmm.
And but what we're also trying to do, because we realize we're just touching the tip of the iceberg, not even the tip really of the iceberg. We're trying to build out the kind of outreach that is virtual. So we want to be able to do virtual mentoring and virtual support. Most of these kids got a cell phone in their hands. They've got access to the web. Why not use those devices to really strengthen their character and their academics? So we're working on trying to expand our reach through the virtual and through technology.
And tell me, because I think, I mean, I know the relationships that you've had over the years with Oprah Winfrey. She's, she's loved and adored by everybody, not only in the US, but even around the world. But what is her
Right.
connection to the Dream Academy? How has she either supported the program, or why was she selected as one of your honorees?
Well, I'll tell you two quick things. One, the fact that I tell you that little 3%, it's one of the reasons you don't see a lot of minority-led charities thriving,
Hmm.
because it's really, really hard to keep it going for us, 27, 26 years now. That's a
Exactly.
well, well, we're blessed because one of the reasons is because about 42, 43 years ago, a long time ago, remember how old you were 43 years ago, right? How
I
old
do.
But 43 years ago, I'm a singer, a gospel singer, a bass baritone gospel singer, and I was singing in Baltimore at the Civic Center, and I came down off the
Ah.
platform, and I felt a tap on my shoulder, and this young lady was standing there. She said, "Excuse me, sir, I just heard you sing. I feel like I can talk to you." She looked like she was discouraged. And I said, "Sure." She said, "Do you have time to talk to me?" I said, "Sure." She came by our home. We lived in Columbia, Maryland at the time. She came by our home. We talked and prayed. I'm a person of faith, and we prayed. And after praying with her, I said, before you go, God has impressed me to tell you He's going to bless you and
Wow.
give you an opportunity to speak to millions of people. She said, "You think God would do that for me?" And it was Oprah Winfrey, and that's how we met all those years ago. She's never forgotten that word that God used me to speak into her heart, and she's cherished it all these years today. And I said to her once, I said, when the Lord impressed me, you'd be speaking to millions of people. I didn't think it was going to be every day, you know. And she, as a consequence, she is probably in the history of this country, the most generous philanthropist I've ever
Mm.
come across. And were it not for her generosity, I'm talking about millions and 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 millions. Were it not for the generosity of Oprah Winfrey, our organization would not have survived, and many others would not have
Wow.
survived.
Well, I remember watching her on the Baltimore channel back in those days, because it's funny, I could get Baltimore channels better than I could DC channels, where I was living. And yeah, it's been quite a treat to watch, her evolution. And the fact that she will be at your gala at the Duke Ellington School of the Arts. I mean, to grace, we've had some amazing talent come to that school,
Oh
but to
yeah.
see the talent that comes into the school and that you're bringing her there is just. Why did you all decide to do it at Duke Ellington?
Well, we wanted to do it a little differently. Normally, we do the hotel thing with
Right,
you sit down,
right.
eat, but I wanted it to be a much more intimate, inspirational evening. And Duke Ellington is a fabulous, fabulous theater. One of the folks that will be singing, I'm not sure if you know, from Chic. She used to be one of the members of Chic, and she's also a graduate of Duke Ellington School, and it's going to be a fabulous evening, and I'm just hoping if things change, if some seats come available, that some folks might be able to get to see it.
Well, the fact that, I mean, it's okay if they can't. If they can't, they can. I'm sure. Maybe is this maybe going to be broadcast at some later date?
Well, I hope it might be, but that's not the
Okay.
plan at this time. But
Okay.
um, it will be recorded, that's for sure.
So we've put information up, and I'm going to put it up again because we certainly do want people to learn more about the U.S. Dream Academy, to be able to support the work that the Dream Academy is doing. And so whether you can get there or not, you can still be a part of it,
Right.
I guess invest in its continued success. So I want to thank you so much for being with us, Wintley Phipps. You're always welcome here at the Informer. And let us know. We want to even amplify some of the stories, maybe of some of the young people in the DC metro area that you've touched, and how we can talk about how the Dream Academy has made a difference in their lives.
Absolutely. Look forward to it.
All righty. Thanks a lot for being with us.